In terms of economic policy, I will just give you an example about the great railway they have built. Beijing claims to the world that they have spent 4.2 billion US dollars for building this railroad. This railway can bring in 700,000 Han Chinese into Tibet every year. In Tibet, the majority of Tibetan people, say 80%, are agricultural based. Very few Tibetans are going to ride this railroad to go to China to look for jobs or to go for sightseeing. So we Tibetans are afraid that, you see, we are going to become a minority inside Tibet. In 1959, there was a population of 30,000 in Lhasa. Today in Lhasa, there's a population of 300,000. 80% of the population are Han Chinese. So this railroad is basically to support the Chinese population inside Tibet. In 1959, prior to 1959, the economic infrastructure of Tibet could support the total population of Tibetans. But today, you see, they have to import things from China for all the Han settlers. This railroad is also being used to support the Chinese military in Tibet. Tibet has over 2,000-mile border with India. So that's why, you see, India is very worried with the change of the Chinese military support system inside Tibet. China or Beijing has not spent $4.2 billion in Tibet on education or on health services. I just want to relate something which I know personally. You see, recently Christie's auctioned off some of Yves Saint Laurent's Chinese objects. So Beijing says that Christie's does not have the right to auction these things as they belong to China, as these items were looted by foreigners. So I won't talk about 150 years ago things, but I will tell you what happened in 50 years. In 1960, I know for a fact, because some of my friends came out from Lhasa, Beijing for 20 days ransacked the Potala Palace and took all the treasures which had been collected over centuries. That's why I've asked China, where are these things? These belong to the Tibetan people. In spite of all these events which have taken in the last 50 years, 99% of the Tibetan population is behind the Dalai Lama and want His Holiness to return to Tibet. In 2008, after the events which took place in Tibet, His Holiness called for special meetings to take place in Dharamsala, and these meetings, His Holiness wanted the people of Tibet to decide on what road we should take. Since 1960, we have some form of democracy in exile. And His Holiness feels that if one day we go back to Tibet, we will still have some form of democracy. I just like to tell you the basic results. You see, during the meeting, 80% of the candidates decided that we will follow the present Dalai Lama's policy, middle path policy. So prior to this meeting, a poll was taken inside Tibet. 17,500 Tibetans were asked their opinion inside Tibet. 8,000 Tibetans said, whatever His Holiness decides, we will want that. 5,000 said they want complete independence. And 3,000 said they would want the middle path policy. This is to give you an idea of what Tibetan people think. In 2008, in November, Beijing retracted the statement saying that Deng Xiaoping did not make his famous statement in 1979. That's why in Dharamsala I made a statement saying that, you see, Beijing is a group of liars and cheats. In my personal view, I think that, you see, after 50 years of misrule and after 30 years of negotiation, where I have been a player, I cannot live under the Chinese communists. I believe personally that the answer for Tibet is complete independence. As this is my personal opinion and the opinion of a minority, but I feel that in the long term, that you see, we will one day see a free Tibet, and we have every right to determine, to have self-determination, self-determine our future. Beijing, or when Prime Minister Wen Jiabao has made a statement saying that the doors for negotiation are still open. Personally, I feel this is completely, you see, to fool everybody. Beijing is using dialogue just for dialogue purposes. And this is because of the extreme international pressure Beijing gets. Beijing wants to tell the world, yes, we are talking to the Dalai Lama. But we Tibetans, on the other hand, feel that dialogue should produce results. You see, in the last 2 years, Beijing is showing an arrogance of power. They say a lot of bad things about His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Beijing is using Tibet to create a false sense of nationalism. I think it's very important to be able to educate the Chinese people on what His Holiness is thinking. That's why His Holiness is reaching out to Chinese people everywhere to tell them about his personal feelings. So in the next 10 years, in my personal view, the Chinese empire, its power is waning. That's why I think many opportunities will arise for us. But I'd like to say that we Tibetans need your continued support. The people of Tibet, you see, will thank you, and I thank you for your continued support, and I'd like to say that that's it.
それでは、今回の、チベット自由人権日本百人委員会の、講演会に、のためにご来日されました、ケドゥープ・タンドップ殿下、ダラムサラの、チベット、亡命政府の国会議員でもいらっしゃいますが、ダライ・ラマ法王の、おいごさんとしても、知られております。それでは殿下に、いろいろお話をお伺いしたいと思います。どうも今回お疲れ様でした。
Ngata nga danda samba di yorwa, ani rimi yorwa hanzo pewe tenda di injiminji shingo dos, kache domi top dancing and di zamling mi kanga gyabgyo chigyoris, di danda rimi yorwa hanzo domi top dan tone gyabgyo chirojis, kundi chogi danda pomburwa, di danda chö tone ta chik shukshimbo shidalabna, di des digmindo ine 달로 군두기 송셰 디나얼와 슈크심부 시부 송샤스 카천 롱업스tam바기 더 게미 궁디엔 페나 독자 가르 체부디 차잔 송소스 디든다 페나로 아니 단다냐라 레스 럽기 아니 게미 디자오네 디마레스 디자오네 마레스 럽디 바디든다 군디네 달로 송셰페 슈크심부 나요 레스팅아 게르기 섬즈인스 다데 리비노 용제달로 Pejelo Shipchul Haks to Gori. And in Kaduina, Ribimi Sutrubina, Ribimi, and Pebe is Labdu, and Pebemi, and Nanzukiran's Gabgo years, Tadi strong impression she wish years, Titunda, Danda Maombal, and Nanzogi Pebe Tachitundarwa, support Cherogis, Dimother Shendang Labgames, and Digan, me Mangche, and 토체나 럽기스 같은 nga gertone ani migangal tochena 럽트민도 이네 드링가 간즈미 토고 간갈 토체나 럽기스
どうもありがとうございました。
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.